Good morning, everybody. POA here, and this is going to be, I guess, video number 2 in just checking out some of the different proxy sites in the world. So this one is Bootleg Mage, which the website is it's constructed well, but when I'm comparing this to the previous one, part of what we're going to do, number of copies available are finite on this site, right? So they're not printing it for you. They already have so many copies printed, and then kind of once they're out unless they get a restock of them. So it does make getting exactly what you want a little tougher, but just from the login of the site, it looked like the card quality was going to be quite good, and I had a lot of promise for the foil qualities. So I was like, okay. Now the cost, they were like $3 to $3.50 per card, so a little bit higher. And if they do a decent foil quality, that'd be okay. So let's get into this. Again, I'm just comparing to that first one I did, which the foils were awful, but the regular cards were fine. And then it was pretty clear that when it said that the images were fuzzy, don't proceed forward. All right, so it looks like they give you a little thank you card. Add new cards to your collection at a fraction of the price. True, very true. Oh, cool. So an Underground Sea in a neat proxy artwork. Oh, neat. Wait, is that on the back of there? Yeah, cool. Okay, hey, mystery thing. I don't know what that is. Let's find out. So the things, that's weird. So I'm kind of assuming right now they threw in a couple. Looks like a couple. 2 tree, somewhere in that neighborhood. All right, so the things I did order. So, of course, some of them are cards that I would prefer to keep my near mint copy as pristine as possible, like Lake of the Dead. Sarah's Sanctum, and I couldn't help but to get a foil copy because you could. And yeah, that foiling is way better than that last one. In fact, that's downright good. Which obviously, Sarah's Sanctum did not have a foil copy, right? So things to keep in mind. So it's obviously a proxy. But a good-looking proxy. Huh. Neat. Cabal Coffers, because I kind of wanted to get another one. And decided, a Torment version. Why not? I like old borders myself. Not everybody agrees there. Prismatic Vista, which I think it was supposed to be a foil-etched version, which isn't quite foil etched, and I'm not mad at that, because that still looks pretty good. It does have a bit of a metallic sheen to it versus that Sarah's Sanctum, but it's not as dark as the actual foil etches. Yeah, not bad. They didn't have the regular foil ones in stock, so they had the foil etched, and I was like, give that a shot. Urborg, the Dead Marshes, because, again, super expensive card. Field of the Dead in foil. Cabin of the Dead, which I do have a copy of Cabin of the Dead, and it's become a version of the copy that I would prefer not to have to slide into a deck. So I figured, why not? You can tell the printing on this is actually a little bit different. That's not a bad thing to me. It's very clean, it's very crisp, but having looked at the regular copy plenty of times, the font on, the what do you call it? The contrast? I don't know. Don't ask me. It's a little sharper. Looks pretty good, though. Yeah, and they even have I didn't even notice that at first. So they even have the little foil stamps on there. Huh. Okay. Huh. That really does make it look realistic, doesn't it? I will say, these feel good. Having held the Urborg card multiple times because I had really good luck pulling these, this doesn't feel 100% exact, but it feels really good. It's sturdy, it's full, it doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't feel exactly the same, which is not a bad thing. Because otherwise that card looks like a dead freaking ringer. Huh. Okay. Ancient Tomb, and I decided, you know what? I kind of want to get the extended art version in foil, and that looks really good. Even down to, it's even got the little effects down in there. Cool. Huh. And I had to get a Beseju foil. It looks fine. Doesn't look like the regular copy of it, but oops. And classic Vamp Tutor, the Judge Pro Mode foil version, since the original Vision artwork didn't have foils back then, so then they released the Judge promo version. They didn't have the actual Visions reprint one in stock. They had this, and I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And I'm glad, because the foiling's good. So, not bad. And then Deflecting Swat, so this was also foil etched. Yeah, that looks foil etchy. It's not exact, it doesn't have that same groovish texture to it, but overall, that looks pretty good. Okay. I had to get a Force of Negation. This was another foil etched version. Once again, it kind of shares that same, where it looks a little metallic, but doesn't look remotely as dark as the actual copy, which is not a bad thing. Anointed Procession. Decided to get the doggo version. Again, I have the regular version of it. This thing's gotten stupid expensive. I'm not going to play with it, but it is a double-sided. I wanted to see how they were going to do with that, and they did great. That looks good. That looks too good. Smothering Tithe and the foil etched. Yeah, the foil etches aren't exact, but they, if anything, they look a little bit better. Huh. So I do have a Zinnia deck, and they had just made the raised foils, and they put them up on the site, and I was like, oh, I might as well get a Zinnia. Unfortunately, Chatterfang was already sold out, so I couldn't get a Chatterfang. That would have been the other one I would have gotten a copy of. But yeah, it's actually raised foil. It looks really good. Now, it doesn't look exactly, because I did pull, right, some of these, and it just doesn't look exactly like it in the rest of the... But from a copy of the card, that looks stupid clean. Well done. Okay. Had to get a Mondrak. Just get a normal, everyday copy of Mondrak. Then decided to continue with the foil etches. So we got Ulamog and Ulamog and Kozilek. All right. So having owned a copy of this in the silver screen foil, that doesn't look the same, but I still love that artwork the most of all the One Rings with the border and everything. I think it looks really good. So while the foiling isn't the same, that still looks good. So you can tell it's not the real one if you've seen the real one. And the Ozolith, because again, another card I kind of need another copy of, and I figured, might as well get the Argonath version. Because I do like the Realms and Relics. So, Grim Monolith, again, another card I do own. It did have a foil version. This does not look like the actual foil version, but it does look good in its own right. So it gives me a copy to slot into a deck without worrying about potentially ruining or losing my actual Grim Monolith. Shadow Spear, because I, again, kind of just went through the Lord of the Rings ones, and I was like, what do I need? They were out of Minamos in foil, otherwise I would have done one of those. And Moxjet. You know, I got one of these because I wanted to see how an unlimited, they didn't have any beta versions in. I wanted to see how an unlimited version would look. Yeah, it does not look like the real thing. Yeah, I do own the real thing. But it does look like a really nice proxy. And if it ever becomes legal in Commander, then I have a proxy. I doubt it will. I could talk more in detail about that, or what I think will happen. I'm not as optimistic as a lot of people out there, but having said that, I did buy a Tolarian Academy before it spiked, and that's actually separate story time. Because I have talked about this on the Discord, that I've wanted to buy a Tolarian Academy, but I was in no rush because it's like banned everywhere, right? I was in no rush, but I wanted to get another copy just to have, just because of memories, right? I want another copy of Tolarian Academy. Then obviously all this stuff went down, and then everybody starts thinking, what's going to happen to the ban list now? Are they going to keep it, or are they going to make some changes? And at that moment, I'm like, it's time to buy one of those. It's time to buy one right now. So I did. And, I got a near mint, or at least it should have been a near mint copy. It was $100, which was right in the realm that it was kind of going for. So I caught it early, because I made that decision. I was like, this is a card I wanted anyway, and I'd rather not pay $250 for it. So I went and ordered it. Of course, it arrived. I can call it light play minus. It's got a big old scratch on the back, and I reached out to the vendor, which is a vendor I've bought from before, but I've never had an issue. And, unfortunately, by the time it arrived to me, the spike already happened on it. So the vendor, I was just hoping the vendor would be like, okay, we'll mark it down some dollars for our mismark or for our not seeing the condition. That's all I was hoping for. And they didn't even offer that. The vendor was just like, well, you can return it if you want, because they knew full well that I wasn't even going to get a light play copied for that price at that moment in time. And I was just kind of like, God damn it. Part of me doesn't blame them. I'm not mad at them because I understand that I simply cannot get that price again. It still sucks because I was trying to buy a near mint copy, and I could have selected a different seller to get a near mint copy. So I selected wrong, essentially. Well, them's the breaks sometimes, folks. That's how it goes. And then what's in this? Now again, so at $3 to $3.50, so the foil things were $3.50, the regular copies were $3. So like these added up quickly versus that first company I had ordered from where I got a whole ton of stuff, right? So keeping that in mind, the quality here clearly is way better. Like these are really nice, but you're gonna pay for that, right? So you're gonna pay for that. That one's got a little damage on it, which could be why they threw it in. Yep, it's a little damage. But hey, throw-ins are throw-ins. Let me be clear. I'm not complaining about that, but it would make sense. So if they have a little bit of a damaged copy, they're going to throw it in. But Battle Angel's a tier. Hey, Bootleg Mage, if you're watching, thank you. This is actually a card I could use another copy of to slot into a deck, because out of all the Baldur's Gate I opened, I did not pull this card very much. I pulled way more Copper Dragons than I did Battle Angels a tier. That's not a complaint, though, folks. It's just fact, right? So that's cool. That's a cool little... in real life, I had accidentally thrown that card down on a Mox Jet. I would have cried right now. What's this one that's got a little damage? Does this have any damage on there? Yeah, it's just cool throwing. Thanks, guys. Hey, Cloudstone Curia. All right, in the Kaladesh Inventions version with the foiling. That actually looks really good, doesn't it? Yeah, it looks good. I've never owned a Kaladesh Invention, so I can't compare it to the real thing. Which is funny because I was actually similar to the Spike thing. I was about to buy a Paradox engine in the Kaladesh Inventions, and I was like, nah, there's no way that's going to get him banned. You can think about this for a minute before you just jump to it. And then, of course, then people bought it and it spiked, and that's fine. Neat. Okay. So, on the subject of commander bans, I also bought a Fast Bond because, again, it's a card that if it did get unbanned... So, first thing, Tolarian Academy. Why? Because I wanted a copy anyway. I don't think it's going to be unbanned. But if it were to get unbanned, that's a $1,000 card. Plain and simple. That's a $1,000 card. So even getting a poorer condition than I expected to get would be absolutely crazy. But that card is insane. It's way more powerful than Gaia's Cradle. And I have a hard time believing it's going to get unbanned. But I also wanted to own a copy anyway, which is why I was fine buying a copy. Fast Bond. I bought a Near Mint Revised. Why? So I did the same thing before the additional spikes happened. It's a card that back in the day I used to like, and I kind of wanted a copy anyway, in its reserve list, and it wasn't. I don't feel like that $30 was too expensive for a Near Mint copy, and decided to pull the trigger. And that one arrived Near Mint. Actually, that one arrived. You can almost say mint. That one looks great, but I don't think Fast Bond's going to get unbanned. Okay. I have a feeling most of the cards on that ban list are going to remain banned. I don't see them making too many changes. They might pull back on a couple things, but I also have a hard time believing they're going to pull back on Crypt or Jewel Lotus anytime soon. Especially since they hired a lot of those people to kind of be on the new committee. Which is a whole nother subject because, God, people really continue to make my head explode with how much they don't understand how companies work in the world. Obviously the contracts pretty much stated you can share an opinion, but you really, like, if you're going to work for Wizards, you can't, like, make fun of or defame what they do. It's not really going to work as an actual paid employee. So, you know, yes, there was language in the thing that you can't do that. That makes all the sense in the world. You can't do that. You work for the company. They were going to be paid to be on the committee. I don't know how much. I don't even know if it is much. It doesn't really matter. It's here nor there. Fact is that people were like, oh, look at the greedy Wizards company. You can't work for the... if they're going to hire you to do that, then you kind of have to toe the company line. That's how it works. Because you can't just be, they did state that they'd still be able to share some opinions. They just have to choose their language properly. And that's okay to do. It's okay to give constructive feedback, constructive conversation. You just can't try to burn them down for stupid decisions, right? Whether or not you agree with it. If you're going to be paid, that's the way it works, okay? So you can't get mad about that. And it's okay if you didn't want to partake in that, right? So if you want to continue to be able to have the voice that you want to have, I completely understand that. But then you can't be an employee of the company. So, like, I'm not employed by Wizards in any way, shape, or form, right? I can say whatever the F I want, which I have a couple times. And again, I still try to put my language in a somewhat constructive way, even when talking about M30. But I'm not a paid employee. I can do whatever, I can say whatever I want. Short of, threats and things like that. You can't. That's a whole nother line. You can't do, folks. Don't do that. That's not what freedom of speech means. It's crazy that we have to explain that, but that's not what free speech means. Free speech means you're able to give your opinion. Okay, that's what that means. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so I want to say Bootleg Mage, really nice quality proxies. A little more expensive. I know there's another site that I'm checking out next that might even be more expensive. So I might buy a little bit of a smaller order just to see how that works out. So this is a fun little talking time / review time, and the first video got some traction that I found interesting. So I appreciate you all who are interested in such things. Big shout out to patron Dustin, who long time is kind of in the same boat, right? Likes to have the actual copies of the cards, but if you like building decks, you need a lot of copies of cards. So sometimes it's good just to do some of this and build some decks, right? You have the copies. It's cool. It's not like I bought anything here that was that ridiculous. I guess Sarah Sanctum's not a cheap card. I guess the One Ring's not a cheap card, but like I have copies. Grim Monolith, I have a copy. That's nuts, but I have a copy. Yeah, I actually have a copy of everything here, don't I? Yes. So I didn't get anything that I don't have. All right. Appreciate you all. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you all they're still holding on. Going down to 2 videos a week, I was very concerned. And you know what? I appreciate you all for still, checking on in. Thank you very much. So, till next time. See ya.